Hi guys, welcome to another video. We've got this absolute beaut in front of you right now. This is made by Dapol, Engage. This is the A4. This is the balanced version, so if I just turn it around a sec, that basically means the wheels are covered there. So this is known as the Silverfox, and this one is 2512 LNER grey. I'm just basically reading off the box, but in sheer beaut, like the fox there is like I would just say it's raised off. It's like the Silverfox plaque. It's just the details. I mean, it is exquisite. Now there's a reason it's in the video though. It runs, and I think let's just think about this. I think the video before this one actually was a Dapol B1, the LNER in green, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you haven't seen that video, go and have a look, because this bad boy, it's absolutely beautiful, immaculate, but the wires are broken as well, from the tender to the body. So in this case, I think I can get the screws out. So what I'm going to do is see if I can either buy wires and change them properly, because I think that's the best way to do it, or I'll remove them and solder them separately off the loco, because I don't want to damage the loco in any way. And as careful as you can be, the heat can sometimes propagate through the posts and melt things that it doesn't want to play nice. I'll try and turn this a bit slower for you. This loco's still got the traction tyres on it, so there'll be no traction issues here. And it does run. I'll show you it quick before we do any work. And what tends to happen is you get a bad crawl speed without the loco sending power to the tender. So without further ado, let's go over to the track, and we'll show you what she's behaving like as she is at the minute. Okay, so here we are back at the shady side of the layout. Now I have already tested this, but I'm just going to show you. It's exactly the same as that B1. She's getting power, and I'll try and crawl it, and it's stopped. Look, so if I touch the body, nothing should happen. If I touch the tender, or put a bit of pressure on it, I mean, theoretically you could just put more weight in the tender, although it is quite heavy. And the other thing, I'll just show you now actually, is we've got the dreaded points. I've put a point in here so we can test crawling capabilities over points. You can see it's just not happy. Now, to be fair, what I could do is probably try and run this for a bit longer than I have. But it's kind of like resistance is futile. It's never going to be as good as it could be without the wires. So as you can see, she just doesn't want to run. So what we're going to aim for is to get, well, at least the front two axles, because this rear one's got a traction tyre, get the power from the loco to go to the tender. So I'll show you exactly what the problem is. Okay, so I'm going to put her in the hole. Same colour as my bricks are nearly. Just got to be careful with these details on the actual loco itself, because they are just super fragile. I'm not ramming it in there. And I'm going to zoom in this time. I didn't do it on the B1 video because I forgot to, basically. Just so you guys can see how actually good nick it is underneath. Obviously, that I would say the wheels probably need a bit of a clean there, but this is our issue just here. So this post has no wire on it, and I do believe, so this post should go to that post, and the end of the wire is actually over here. See? Now I could probably just solder it back on, but you know, that end's not looking too great. And then if you look at this wire, I think this one here is about to go on here. I did try one of the screws, so I think we'll be good for taking these off. So this is the proper way to do it. So you need a screwdriver that fits very nicely. And you do. Have you ever played that game Operation? Because if you haven't, I'll practice on that. Or if you know someone who's a surgeon, that might, just ask them to do it for you. So I'm going to put this to one side. We'll come back to that in a bit. And I'm just going to take them all off actually, because I'm going to redo them all. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and use the contact that is under this screw and solder new wires to that off the loco. Now the reason for that is brass conducts heat quite well, and the last thing we want to do is damage the loco. Plus we can stretch this out and see how long the wire is, and we can duplicate that length. On the last one I removed this link, and on the B1, sorry. In fact, on that B1 I'll just put a link at the top of the screen if you're interested in that, because I basically soldered the wires from post to post, and that's worked absolutely fine. It's not the best job in the world, is it? Let's be honest. However, it did work, and I'm a believer in if it works, then it works, You're never going to see it. If you were to sell it, not a good idea. So what I'm going to do, now I've removed those, and you can see what it is now. So you're going to have, where are we? There. These 4 screws, in this case, on this loco, all 4 of those are the same size. So what I'm going to go do, actually, is look on the DCCSupplies website. You can type that in Google and have a look. They are the supplier of Dapol parts. And thank you, Tony, because in the previous videos I was saying DCC Concepts all the time. So, DCCSupplies. Pop that in Google, go have a look, which is exactly what I'm going to do now, because if I don't have to... Wow, my finger's big. If I don't have to solder those, I'm just going to buy some. Or will I? Right guys, we're back. Unfortunately, I've got a bit of wire, and I've got these and that. Basically, I just had a look on the DCCSupplies website. Unfortunately, I can't find these. That's not to say they don't have them though, and you could get in contact with Dapol themselves, or DCCSupplies, and say, because they might be able to get them for you. I'm just going to make some because I can. I didn't want to, because I'm getting a bit lazier now, because it's always the same stuff. On Dapol steam locos, it's always these flipping things that go. And actually, if you can get the same gauge as this, sorry, I was off screen there. If you can get the same gauge as this in a silicon wire, you'd be laughing, because it'll flex a lot. I am just going to use this, and this is a insulated wire like I did on the B1. It's basically from a pre-wired LED, and I have some pre-wired 402 LEDs. This is the black wire. The gauge, as you can see, just comparing it to them, it's not that dissimilar really. So I'm just going to cut these to length. Well, actually, I'll show you what I'll do in a sec, but we've got to clean these. So we'll separate our screws. I'll put these up here from our contacts. So this is one of the contacts, okay? Now, we'll separate them apart. I really wish I could have bought these, because I wanted to do this properly. Now this is going to be a pretty proper job now, but I just didn't want to do it. Getting lazy. I think the best thing really would be that silicon wire that I was on about. Now this one looks okay, but it'd be sod's law that I just run it on the loco and it breaks, so I might as well just change it. probably break me just doing this, to be honest. I'm basically unscrewing it from the screw. There we go. Didn't take much, did it? So these little connectors, I'm trying to utilize these so we can just screw it back on. Screw at the top, contactor there, and there's another one there, screw up there. Yes. So unfortunately, they must have these somewhere. Do you know what? I reckon they're probably under a part number for another loco. Because I just had a look at the B1 and had a look at the A4 and had a look at the Britannia and I couldn't see any, but I know these wires are exactly the same on all those locos and the William Wordsworth. So all those classes of loco I just mentioned, these are all the same, which leads me to believe that anything with a tender from Dapol has probably got exactly the same wires. Why would they change it, you know? Now, I'm going to that's the... Well, they're both original length, really. I'm going to do this a pretty brash kind of way. I've got some blue tack. I do find blue tack, or if you use a bit of tape upside down, that's quite handy to hold things. Okay, so I'll go preheat the solder now and then I'll be back. Okay, so sometimes you can use blue tack to hold things down, and I'm not going to do that in this case. I'm actually going to use a bit of tape. So put them to one side. There's always various ways of doing things. So drop her on there. What you could do is just cut the ends off to make them a bit more cleaner. I'm not going to do that. But you can make this job as neat or as messy as you like. Now these eyelets are the same. They're all the same as each other. I'm guessing it's about there. This tape is very handy. It's nothing special, it's just painter's tape, but it just allows you to sort of stick stuff down a bit easier. You can see what I'm doing, right? Like I'm just getting the right length, and when I've done one, we'll do the other one. I won't show you that, it's just boring stuff, isn't it? But I want to show you, you can fix it if you like. But really this is kind of the only way to do it. You could just solder wires to those posts instead of doing all of this, but this is how I'm doing mine. Definite, like the easiest way would be to solder directly to them posts. It'd be so quick. However, I just don't want to bodge it that way on this one. And yes, I said bodge, but you know, it fixed it on the B1, so you know, I didn't really want to pull the complete thing apart in order to put wires on it. So I've got my wire here, and I have not stripped the wire back on the end. I'm going to just show you this. So I'm basically melting the end of it, but that's only because this wire allows me to do that. Can you see there's a tiny bit of wire there, and I'm hoping this isn't a complete fail. That might be alright. You could always put tape over the ends as well. I might have to do that in a second. I'm just being careful not to allow the solder to flow into the eyelet, because that would be bad. You know, you'd fill the hole where the screw's meant to go with solder, because it tends to want to flow. Okay, so got our wire there. Just going to snip it. So a good set of cutters. Well, I say a good set. These are about £2 off of eBay. They are literally, I'm going to show you here, I won't put it in the comments, whatever that is, PCAFC. Now, they are very good for things like this, not so good, and cutting plastics, but don't try not to cut like piano wire with them, because they don't like that. Ask me how I know. I'm just going to attack the end of this wire. I'm not soldering it on yet. You know, don't be afraid to get... My soldering iron isn't expensive. It's just got a fine tip on it. I turn the heat all the way up, which isn't really good for the tips of the soldering iron, but it allows me to touch stuff for a less amount of time to get the heat in effect. And you know, if you're worried about soldering, just practice on something that's not, I don't know, needed to be soldered. I'm actually going to just do this away from the bit. Just want to make sure we've got a good, nice shiny metal bit, which we have now. So you want the contact pickup, whatever it is, the eyelet, you want that to be a nice fresh soldered piece on there, and then you also want the wire to have a nice freshly soldered piece on that as well. I think I need myself a little telescope, because you see the camera is exactly where my head needs to be. It's going to be somewhere there. I should have chose a bigger gauge, shouldn't I? N gauge is a little bit fiddly. But really, it is what it is, isn't it? Okay. Not the best in the world, but it's not coming off, I don't think. So that one's soldered on, and so is that one. So I'll just do another one. I won't show you it, but that's basically what I've done. This wire isn't extremely flexible, and I'll probably have to revisit this at a later date and put some silicone. If you can get, when you have a look at your wires, you'll see you could measure it. In fact, I'll do this for you now, because I have a way of measuring it. This isn't for me, this is for you. So we have got, the wire is, this is with insulation, 0.3 mil, okay? So hopefully that'll help you find the correct wire if you want to buy some nice flexible silicone wire, which I would advise you do, because you'll probably never have to change it ever again. But I've just got an abundance of wires, and I love fixing my locos all the time. Not. So I'm going to do the next one, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so we have returned. I have got two wires that are really badly repaired, but nonetheless they will work. Have no faith. Have no faith? Have no fear. Probably have no faith as well. Okay, so this is literally going to be, bend it in a U, like this, and maybe a bit more. It's got to go under the link between the tender and the loco. Very fiddly, okay? I mean, I've done some pretty fiddly things, but it's definitely up there. Ideally you want to get yourself a magnetic screwdriver, but even better than that, you probably want one that just fits the screws really well. I'm lucky with this screwdriver. This is definitely tricky. So what I'm doing here is I've got you just don't want to manhandle it all too badly. Ugh. Okay, so I'm hoping I've got the screw started in there. I'm going to put my tweezers there because what I don't want is that little contact to rotate into. I don't want it to face forward on the loco, I want it to face sideways like this. So I'm not doing it dead tight, just enough. Enough is enough. Now this one will be over here. You know what's ironic is I didn't buy this one as a non-runner. So technically I should be like, oi, it's broken. But most people just don't know. Because it kind of works, you know. But it just doesn't work as it should do brand new. Or he might have been having me on. There is always that. But now I'm pretty much at ease when I buy locos. I'm kind of like, well, you know, they all need work at some point, or they'll never be exactly what I want, so give it a fix. So that one's kind of lined up with the hole, you see. I guess if you had a really flexible wire, it kind of wouldn't be like that. You kind of do want flexible wires here. These are thin enough to be flexible where we are at. Again, I mention silicon wires because they would just work. I would assume they can make them this small. To be honest, I would have assumed Dapol would have used them in the first place. But not knocking them because they've got some beautiful locos. I would imagine they're aware that this is a common thing to break on them. It's a weak link, isn't it? So I'm going to feed this one under as well. Hopefully. You can probably tell I've just tried to leave everything else on the loco. To make your life easier, you can remove this. Just remove like one screw and just sort of swing it round, or both screws. Sometimes, like on that B1 that I did, the screws didn't want to come out on these posts. So we were a bit hampered there with what we could do. And, you know, if you were going to make that B1 that I did mint, you would take the whole loco apart, take the tender apart, and repair the posts. You buy new pieces. I just didn't see the point because it's, you know, I can fix it. I suspect that most Dapols are going to have this issue, especially the steam locos. And especially if you can't get the wires, then you have no option but to make some. I suspect you can probably get these eyelets and crimp them onto your own wires. In fact, that might be a viable option. I suspect that these are 1mm internal diameter eyelets. You find the wire that you want, something nice and flexible, and you can crimp them on instead of soldering. I like soldering sometimes. I think you're mostly seeing my thumb in this video. Not mega tight, just enough. That's on, that's on, that's on. And then this will go under there. So before I put that on, that post has to go to that post. That post has to go to that post. Probably said that a few times already. But it could be, I can see it'd be very easy to sort of like get your wires mixed. And the problem with doing that would be you'd create a short. You'd basically connect the left hand and right hand part of the track together, both rails together, and this wire would probably act like a fuse, and it would probably burn out. That wouldn't be very good. So please don't be put off with this. Anyone can do this. Am I making it look easy? Probably not. I mean, it's fiddly work. Is it going to be worth it? Yep. I'll just adjust that a little bit. Okay, so that's the wires we've got. So yeah, so that one's going to go all the way around to there to there. The only reason that curve is kind of in there is to allow them to flex around a little bit. So what else could we do here? Ooh, I think what we're going to do is cheat a little bit. Okay, when I say cheat a little bit, what I mean is I've connected these crocodile clips to the tender wheels. So I can move the loco like this. And when it's moving like this, I can get a bit of tissue paper, touch a bit of alcohol on the end of it, and clean my wheels. Yeah, there's not a lot coming off, but it's something. Something that now won't be going on the track. Yeah. I'm not pressing down hard here. And I bet there's some people screaming like, what are you doing? But it works. Generally speaking, this is actually pretty clean. Well, that's what's come off them, look. It's not going to be mint, but for the time being, that's going to do. So we'll go over to the track and we'll see how she runs now. This isn't slow motion, by the way. I just thought I'd add that. She seems pretty happy. It's just hitting a corner, that's what's slowing down. Okay, backwards. Yeah, so she's pretty happy now. I think it's about time we got some coaches on her. And I'll run her in.